I'm Flexi Cosplay, and today I'm going to show you in this video the top 5 tips that I have for using contact cement. It's a cosplayer's favorite glue, so let's get started. I have a few scraps out here on the table to kind of show you what to do right and what to do wrong so that you can see why we do things the way we do. So let's start with number 1. Use sparingly. So contact cement is something that if you put globs, you will end up with globs that you have to then fix later. And it also makes the attachment a lot more flimsy, and sometimes it won't even work. So with that being said, we go straight into number 2, which is use an applicator bottle, or you can use the scrape method. So 1 and 2 kind of go together. Use sparingly. We're going to start with the bottle for this side. So you just have a little bit comes out of the tip, one to the other. This would be in a flagrant disregard of step number 1, which is use sparingly. This is entirely too much. It won't dry evenly, and whenever it does dry, it's going to squish out on the edges. It's going to be a terrible result. So we'll start with pretend like it's a little bit too much on both of these pieces. We're going to go just kind of all over the place. Awful. So that's going to be what to do wrong, and I'll show you why later. This one is use sparingly. So what I do is I use the side of my bottle, the tip of my bottle, to scrape it off so you barely have any on there at all. And you're going to put it on both sides. So just barely enough. It almost looks like you don't have any on, but you can see the shine. You'll know that it's dry whenever the shine goes away. So again, number 1, use sparingly. Number 2, use an applicator bottle if you can, or use the scrape method. I can show you that real quick as well since we're on here. So sometimes you don't have the bottles, you can use a piece of scrap foam, dip it in your contact cement, apply it, and then just scrape. And you'll see it gives that really nice finish where it's not too much. And do it on both sides again. That's how contact cement works. If you're brand new to this, contact cement works best when there's barely any on, just enough to make it shiny, or tacky is what they'll say sometimes, and that you use it on both sides. You can't do it on just one side and expect it to work. So we'll let that dry as well. Then you can scrape it back off and close the top. Tip number 3, allow to dry fully. So let's, I'm gonna pretend like I'm fast forwarding this video right now. Okay, back to me. So we've waited the length of time that we need to. It's different for every type of contact cement. It's usually only a few minutes, but you'll know it's dry whenever it's not liquidy. It's slightly tacky. It might even feel completely dry to the touch. This took me only about 2 minutes. You'll see that the ones that I barely put any on, that I've said is a good application where you use sparingly, they're pretty much already dry. There's no liquidy parts. You would apply those together. I like to do an extra squish. That's a great seal there. Same with this one. Put them together. Make sure you squish it extra good so all of the pieces are connected. Great connection. So this is the wrong way. If you've used too much, you'll see that it's not dry. Again, you're flying in the face of step number 1, which is use sparingly, but also now allowing to fully dry. If you don't, this is what happens. Doesn't work. You might be able to save this, so say that you did do too much and you found yourself in this position where it clearly wasn't dry, you could see it's still wet. You might be able to now kind of scrape them together, salvage your piece and let it dry. But you'll see we're going to have a little bit of clumps that are kind of sticking out because we've used way too much. So we'll allow that to dry, and then I'll show you how to fix your clumps as well. So that's tip number 1, 2, and 3. Number 4, use mineral spirits to clean up any of the globs you might have. Sometimes if you've done like an overlay, you'll have bits sticking out because you didn't quite, estimate how far you had to use the glue out. Or it could also be that some kind of made its way out of your seam line at some point, and now you've got it sticking out. So you'll get mineral spirits. I sometimes use turpentine. I don't know if that's really something you should, but any kind of paint thinner really and it does have a terrible smell, so just be careful with it. Get a little bit on the end of a washcloth or a piece of fabric, and you just kind of rub it along, and it will dissolve the contact cement. So now you've got it nice and clean again, even if you made a mistake. So it is salvageable if you've had some kind of squish out or, you know, go a little bit wayward, and now you can salvage that with just a little bit of paint thinner. I like to do this whenever I have lots of detail pieces that I'm putting on top of others, because there's no way that I can get it exact each time. And tip number 5. So we'll go back to this disaster piece here. It's about right. Put them together, and now we've got kind of sticking up globs of contact cement. You could use the paint thinner, but honestly at this point, whenever you've got big globs or different things that are sticking out a little bit further, the next best thing is going to be to use your Dremel tool and Dremel off the side. Okay, so to Dremel, get your Dremel tool. I like to use one of the smoother sanding tips, but you can use a rough one and then kind of work your way down. And you're just going to kind of smooth off the edges here, and you'll see it peels up the contact cement, the globs, as you go down. And eventually, all the globs have been gone. You can do it for the other side just to show you again. There you have it. So when you Dremel, what it's doing is kind of globbing up those pieces and peeling and flaking them off. So it's good for the bigger chunks that have kind of escaped its confines. And then again, you can use the mineral spirits as well for the smoother bits. But there you have it. I hope these top 5 tips have helped. Hope it ups your cosplay game a little bit. It certainly helped mine. And like and subscribe, leave me any comments below, and maybe one of your favorite tips if I haven't mentioned them. Thanks for watching.